Now that we've built the mesh that forms one of the legs, the next thing we need to do is swing it into position and distort it such that it's forming part of our finished design. At the moment, it's just a rudimentary loft and an ellipsoid on one side. So in order to do that, we need to do a few more construction lines, and an important skill to learn at this stage, or an important command to learn at this stage, is the ability to hide elements temporarily such that we can work in the space behind them. So what we've done is we're just going to quickly group those. So you can see the group command is a little Venn diagram just down on the left hand side there, and we're going to hide it. So if you scroll across the standard toolbar to the light bulb, left click, you then have hidden that command, hidden those elements. So we need to put in a quick construction line to figure out where we're going to swing that leg into. And first we need a polyline command. We've used that before at the top there. And we're just going to click on the midpoint, double click on perspective, so we're on either the front view or the right hand side view. Let's go with the right hand side view, and we're going to put in 120 millimeters. So I'm just keying that in on the keypad. So we now have a construction line at the back edge which represents where we need to move that leg up to. And we're going to do a similar command, the same command at the short end. You can see we're on the perspective view there. We're dragging up on the right hand side view, and the center line there will be 54 millimeters. We'll make it 55. There we go. Just dragging that up, and I'm just going to drag a gauge line to one side just so we can see it clearly on the right hand side view. Okay. Next thing we need to do is reintroduce the geometry which we hid before. Now all we need to do that is roll our mouse over the light bulb, the hide command, but instead of left clicking this time, we're going to right click. We've already grouped that, so we can already just grab everything. We can swing around in our perspective view, and we're going to move that up into position. So you can see there's our construction line. We want that to be the center line of our leg, so we go to the transform command, left click, move, correction. We'll leave this in position this time. We'll transform, and we'll use the copy command. That way we'll be able to use the existing leg as a gauge. We'll be able to clearly see the difference between the one that's bent and the one that we're going to leave straight on the page. We'll end up deleting that shortly. So I've moved that up and copied that leg into position. I'll just double click on perspective, and you can see now we have one of the legs of our design swung into position, and they're both straight at this stage. So what we need to do is bend that down such that we've got a sinuous curve that's going to form rather aesthetically the base of our design. So in order to do that, double click on the perspective view to bring the four viewport layout, and if we go to our front view and double click, you can see them both there. We want to bring that point down in a sinuous curve such that the center line is on that location there. So in order to do that, we're going to use the transform command and scroll to the bottom, and you will see bend. Okay, click on that. We've selected all the geometry we need. We're going to just double check. So I'm just going to double click on the 4-point view, and the point or the axis that I want to bend through is at the end of that construction line. So I'm floating on the perspective view to the end of the construction line that we made before. Now I'm just dragging out on the front view. There we go, to the side. I need to click off ortho. So in order to do that, I'm just floating my mouse to the bottom of the viewport, and you can see ortho is highlighted there. I left click on that to deactivate ortho, and then you can see my axis. I left click, and now my geometry is just bending down. So what we want is just by eye at this stage. That should be fine. I'm just bending our geometry down. Now double click. The last stage that we want to do is just rescale that such that we have it stretched over basically the same footprint as the one that we had at the bottom. So there's the one at the bottom. The one at the top is highlighted there, you can see in the top view, and we're going to use the scale 1D command in order to stretch that out. Now in order to do that, we've got scale under the transform line, scroll down to scale 1D, left click on that, and we're going to pick the origin point, and again we're using that same construction line again. We're going to snap off or disable our grid, our snaps. We're going to snap on our ortho with a left click, and we're just going to drag to the left. And you can see that they're nicely matched over the one below, or the construction line. And we now have, if I go to the perspective view, double click on that view, there's the difference between the two design elements. So previously we just had the loft and the ellipsoid on the end. Now we've got a nicely curved base to the leg there. Okay, so just to reiterate what we've done there, we have hidden the geometry that we had before. We've built using the hide command, that's the light bulb. Then we've added a few construction polylines as per what we've done previously. We've then shown that geometry back in position, shifted it and copied it up to the end of the construction line that we made, and then we've used the bend command under the transform tab in order to bend that into position. Lastly, we then stretched that out in order to get our final curved leg. Okay,